A friend of mine recently told me an interesting story where a client that he's working with was really happy with the work that was done. So when it came time for the feedback, he left him a review and left him a 4.4 out of 5. The client was extremely happy with the work and thought he gave him a good review. Whereas the freelancer, my friend, was horrified because he never got 100%. In this video, I'm going to address the situation and give you 4 tips in order to make sure this scenario does not happen to you when you're on the Upwork platform. The first tip over here is that make sure that you walk the client through the Upwork platform as a freelancer. The reason being is this: as a client, you think to yourself that, wait a minute, if I gave someone a 100% review, that's almost dishonest or being fake, because you can't be 100% in terms of how the work is done. It's like an essay, right? You don't give 100% because no essay is perfect. Likewise, for the client, they may be thinking to themselves that the experience can never be 100%. Therefore, they're actually being honest when they say that they'll give you a 4.8, 4.9, or 4.4. And when in fact, it was a perfect experience, but they don't understand the fact that on Upwork, anything less than 5 is considered really bad. So once you walk them through that experience and the Upwork platform as a freelancer, then they'll realize and understand that, so that when they make that decision in the end to give you that feedback, they'll take that into consideration as well. The second point over here is to make sure that you ask for feedback throughout the project. So what do I mean by this? Let's just say, for example, it's a 6-month project. Don't wait until the last day to be like, how was it? But on a monthly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, just ask them, hey, how's everything going? Is there something I could address? Is there something that I can work on? The reason being is that if you ask for those things in between, you can address those points immediately, as opposed to everything happening in the end. The third point over here is that addressing, and this kind of piggybacks on the second point, is that you need to address the points as they come up. Don't save it all till the end. And the reason being is that if you address the points immediately, the client may be in a scenario where he's like, you know what, I didn't really like how he did this. But the fact that he redeemed himself and addressed it immediately, in his mind, when he leaves that review, he's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to give this more weight and consideration when leaving that review. And there's going to be a higher chance of giving that 5 out of 5 when the client knows that, you know what, fine, he made a mistake here or there, or she made a mistake here or there. But at the same time, they redeem themselves, right? So, and addressing that immediately is the best case scenario, as opposed to at the end, when it's too late, the client is already done, he wants to move on with the project, and then you're looking at him and saying that, hey, you know what, where can I help? Where can I fix this? Where can I do that? The fourth point over here is that, okay, let's just take the hypothetical scenario where the client has left the negative feedback. What can you do? Do you just put up your hand and say, you know what, it's too bad, and that's it, and move on? No, you still have some room for flexibility over here. The first point over here is that when a client leaves you a review, you have the opportunity to also leave your own feedbacks as well. So what I would recommend over here is that if the client left a negative review, you should honestly reply back in terms of the exact circumstance of what happened. And that is the best case scenario. The reason being is that if a client in the future happens to look at your profile and they see that negative comment, what they'll then see is they'll see your honest reply and they'll be like, you know what, fine, he's not a perfect person, but at the same time, he left an honest reply of what happened, and we can move on from there though, and it's not a big hindrance. However, if you're the type of person that the person slanders you and then you try to slander them back in the comment section by replying to that, it's going to have a negative impact on the client who's looking at your profile in the future, because he's going to think to himself that, wait a minute, if I run into a situation tomorrow, it's going to turn very ugly and I can see the evidence over here. So what I would recommend is be honest. If you're to blame yourself and say, hey, you know what, it's my first time on the platform, I messed up, I made a mistake, and it won't happen again though. That honesty will carry you more forward. Another thing that you can do over here as well is that you can, in certain situations, if you are a top rated person or individual and your Upwork profile is top rated, you have the ability to remove feedback as well. However, what I would recommend is don't do this. Is one of those things where you have to use it carefully and wisely. You don't want it to be, it's a small little job that happened, it's only a $50 job or $100 job, and you use this, what Upwork has given you, and use this for that. Instead, save it for a really big job where it's going to weigh you down. It's a big job, long job, and where it really matters. And then use that over there and contact Upwork in order to remove that from your profile. So use that carefully as well. The third sub point is the fact that, let's just say that that's one scenario over there, the second scenario as well. The third scenario could be that rather than doing anything about it, you could just apply for a bunch of small jobs right after that job. So what happens is that on your profile, what you're going to see is there's a bunch of reviews that are left on the first page, right? If you have a lot of jobs, you'll have reviews on the second page, third page, and fourth page though. So let's just say, for example, you got a bad review and you have 5-6 other clients on the go and you're applying for other jobs as well. You could do a quick other, maybe $100 jobs, $200 jobs, very, very fast jobs. And in a week or two, you could get those people to leave reviews as well. And then what ends up happening is that that job, which is number one, gets pushed down to second page. And for most clients, they're gonna look at your first page and hardly, maybe they might go to the second page as well. So in essence, those could be 3 other scenarios or 3 other things that you could do in order to address that point. So I'm going to leave it over here for now, and I hope and pray for next time anything like that happens to you, you know the best way to handle that based on the points that I mentioned in this video. If you like what you see and if you enjoyed watching this channel, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and I look forward to answering more questions to help you succeed on the Upwork platform.